Can you feel it? Can you feel it? I'm walking in here this morning, seeing all these wonderful faces, getting physical hugs from one another, seeing the smiles, feeling the laughter, feeling the peace, feeling the joy, feeling the unity, feeling the togetherness. Can you feel it? Sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone. It's coming back. It's right here, right now. That white stone that you have, as Phil sang so beautifully, is a symbol for changing your name, changing what you would like to call, changing or becoming more aware of what is there inside of you that is being called forth. And so somehow or another during today's service, or later on if you like, there will be a word or a short phrase that will occur to you that will be sort of your point of identification, your point of work, your point of purification, your point of transformation. And whenever that comes, you're encouraged to write that down on your stone. Have it with you. Carry it with you. You can put it on. I usually put mine up on a little altar that I have in my house. You can put it in your pocket. How often we forget who we are. I mean, I can go walking out of here and forget 5 minutes from now. So can you. You get caught in your parking space. Your car doesn't start. Spill the coffee. What would you like to be called? Wouldn't it be interesting? Can you imagine what it would be like if we talked to other people the way we talk to ourselves? Can you imagine what it would be like if we called other people what we call ourselves? So guess where it really starts, as usual. It starts right here. So for some people it might be having a blank stone. I'm not going to call myself anything until I call myself something good. My grandson, my grandkids call me Grandpa Jerry. We originally started as Grandpa, and then it sort of morphed a little bit into Grandpa Jerry. Now my grandson, who is 14 years old right now, a couple of years ago decided he wasn't going to call me that anymore. He was just going to call me Jerry. So he started doing that. And at first I was rather insulted. Wasn't paying me the proper respect. And then I began to realize something shifted. By calling me a different name, he changed the whole dynamics of the relationship. Without saying a word, he said, "You're not my grandpa, you're my friend. You're my brother. You're my connection to a higher world. That's what I'm called. That's why I changed your name. Not because I was being disrespectful, not because that was getting in the way, but because there's a difference between me calling you Grandpa Jerry, which your other grandkids call you, and me calling you Jerry, which is a description much more of our relationship, of the truth of who you are." What a lesson. Change is inevitable. We don't like it, but it is. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, "You can't step in the river twice, because the river's different and you're different. No matter how it might seem, no matter how it might feel." Can you imagine what it'd be like if you looked in the mirror next day you look in the mirror, or next morning you look in the mirror, you say, "That's not the same face that looked back to me before. That face is looking back at me right now has more truth, has more light, has more love, has more peace, has more growth, has more stretching than the one I saw yesterday." "Behold, I make all things new," Jesus said. Time of this service is a time for new beginnings. Not a New Year's resolution. We all know what happens to New Year's resolutions. You've probably broken yours already. They don't last terribly long. And that's because there's a missing piece. There's a missing piece to our prayer. There's a missing piece to our dedication to ourselves. There's a missing piece in our desire to grow, to change, to transform. Because there's a difference between wanting something and really believing it can happen. What I discovered for myself, one of the missing pieces of prayer, is being open to the possibility that what I desire can and will happen. Because so often what happens to you and me is that here's what I want, here's what I desire, and I will pray that that will happen somehow or another. I don't know how, and I don't know where, and I don't know when. And just sort of floats out there in the universe someplace and never gets connected with anything. So what I am being asked to do today is to sincerely believe in the possibility that what I am yearning for, what I am wanting, what I am desiring, not only for myself but for the world, that the possibility is that that is my truth. It is if I say, oh, I'd love to pray for world peace, or I'd love to pray for my own peace of mind, that's very wonderful, but if I don't believe that's going to happen, it isn't going to happen. The creative energy behind my prayer, behind my intention, comes from my belief and my understanding of connecting with the possibility that this can, whatever it happens to be, peace or joy or love or commitment, that my openness to the possibility that this can and will happen. That's where the creative energy lies. We have a great example of that in Christian scripture with Peter who was sitting in the boat and Jesus was walking on the water. And when he got pretty close to the boat, Peter indicated, I'd like to do that myself. And Jesus said, come on. Held out his hand. And Peter grabbed a hold of that hand and took a couple of faltering steps off the boat and onto the water. And he did. And then all of a sudden he looked down and said, well, I can't do this. It's impossible. Something's wrong with this picture. I shouldn't be able to. And of course he sunk like a stone. When he believed in the possibility, it was there. When I forget about the possibility, it's not. I spent most of my life, or a lot of my life anyway, trying to feel good. And I had all sorts of things that would make me feel. Ice cream makes me feel good. Reading Harry Potter makes me feel good. Mowing the lawn makes me feel good. Whatever happens. I mean, the list is that. Can you imagine what it would be like if we carried that list around with us all day long? And the only thing that I could do with myself is feel good. How exhausting that is. How after a while you kind of run out of it. After a while things, because I don't know about you, but all of my addictions worked for a while until they didn't. And then they were more feeling bad than they were feeling good. I found out later on, just as we sang in the song, that the purpose, I'm not about feeling bad, by the way. I don't have any objection to feeling good. I'm not a prude. It'd be kind of ridiculous to say, well, I think I'll cut out everything in my life that makes me feel good. I still got a list. Not as short, not as long as it might have been before, but it's still there. But what I'm suggesting is that feeling good is not the purpose of life. It's not my goal in life. My goal in life, as the song said, is to be free. And that might be a word you might come in contact with on your white stone, free or freedom. But understand what that means. It doesn't mean that we negate everything in our lives, we throw everything away. It doesn't mean that we do what we want to do just because we want to do it. Freedom from my ego and consciousness and my spirit are completely different things. Freedom of my ego is doing what I want when I want to do it, anytime I want to do it. My spirit knows much better than that. My spirit knows how to connect with the truth of who I am, because it's not about doing something or feeling good. It's more about being good, doing good, having good. It's not about my emotions or my feelings. And that's another bugaboo for me. I think one of the most important lessons I keep learning spiritually is that it's nice to have things that make you feel good. It's okay to feel good. In fact, it's wonderful to feel good if you want to or need to. But that's not who you are. And if you spend all your life trying to feel good, you're probably going to wind up not feeling good too, because the list is endless. It's like a friend of mine used to do this all the time. He'd say, it could be a marvelous day, marvelous picnic you're having, a wonderful day. He'd say, you know what would make this really perfect? Nothing was ever enough. Nothing was ever, and when I'm working out of my ego consciousness, nothing is ever going to be enough. Back to the beginning again. Feeling good or feeling free. Being good or being free. Release, heal, transform. We did the release last week with the burning bowl. Release, letting go of someone or something in our lives that we chose to let go of. Today what we're about is healing and transformation. But I would also encourage you to realize that whatever you burnt up in that burning bowl is not a one-shot deal. Because I don't know about you, I had fear listed on my page. Fear of a lot of different things, and I sort of, poof. Does that mean all my fears disappeared? It's not a one-shot deal. But it's a reminder that in that moment, in that split second, when I was willing to let go of it, it did not exist. Do you ever have this happen to you? You're really worried about something, really concerned about something, and something comes along and distracts you, and you get involved in whatever that is for a while, and then that particular task is finished, and then you stop for a minute and you say, now what was I so worried about? And for a split second, it isn't there anymore. And of course, if you're like me, you're going to work on it. You're going to uncover. Oh, there it is again. Now I know what it was. But isn't it interesting that little moment in time, when your thought was not on what you were so concerned or worried about, it did not exist. It wasn't there. Where'd it go? It exists up here. It's the only place it exists. It's right here. Release, heal, transform. Not a one-shot deal. It's like Peter, I don't know why he's coming to mind for me this morning, but Peter asked Jesus one time, how many times should I forgive my brother? 7 times? He thought he was really hot stuff. I'm going to forgive my brother 7. How great thou art. I'm going to forgive my brother 7 times. And Jesus said, no, I say 70 times 7, which is a mystical number, by the way, which means practically infinity. You keep forgiving your brother until you don't need to forgive your brother anymore. How many times do I need to let go of my fear? I need to let go of my fear until I don't need to let go of it anymore. The one that I gets me an awful lot is, and I keep coming back to this one of my major lessons in life, is letting go of my sense of not enoughness. You are not enough. I am not enough. I think I related this to one of my classes, but it sort of fits here. A couple of weeks ago, I forget what the context was, but Margot and I were talking about something. And I remember her saying to me, she put her hand on my shoulder. And she said, I don't know what I would do without you. And immediately, my mind said, who's she talking about? Is there somebody else in the room? Immediately, without even thinking about it, my not enoughness kicked in. Now, what was interesting was I was able to laugh about it. Not take it too seriously, even though it was, but there it was again. I said, here's a life lesson repeating itself again and again and again and again. How many times do I need to let go of this one? 7 times? 70 times 7. So here we are in transformation, in making changes in our lives, in letting go. Letting go of the past, transforming the present. But that can't or won't happen if I'm still dragging the past behind me. So that's why I'm being asked to do this over and over again. It's like one of my favorite rock and roll one-liners from Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Crosby, Stills and Nash. Don't let the past remind us of what we are not now. Don't let the past remind us of, because you're not. You're not who you were. Or as the Course in Miracles says, when you bring the past into the present, you create a future just like your past. I thought that was double talk when I first heard it. I said, well, how ridiculous. When you bring the past into the present, you create a future just like your past. You wonder why we haven't changed. You wonder why things aren't any different. Here's my question to you, or one of my questions to you is, who are you now without your fear, or without your anger, or without your revenge, or without your sense of separateness? Who are you now that you burnt that thing up in the bowl? Are you different than what you were? Who are you now? You're not the person who dropped the flash paper in the bowl. You're someone else. Who are you now? Who are you without your fear? Who are you without your revenge? Who are you without your negativity? Who are you without your not enoughness? Who are you without your loss of self-esteem? Who are you? Are you different? Have you transformed? Have you changed? In 12-step recovery, there's something called step 6 and 7, which is getting a look at what we call your character defects and having God remove them. And I remember when I first came across that one, I imagined that if you ask God to remove your character defect, it's kind of like this big cosmic straw comes down from heaven, right? And God goes, and just sucks him up. That was but you know what was left? There was just this little puddle on the ground that was left. This little amoeba saying, here's Jerry without his character defect. There was nothing left, or hardly anything left. And I said, something's wrong with this picture. I must be more than that. There must be more to me than that. There must be more to you than that. But it's a great question to ask ourselves every once in a while, too. Who am I without my fear? Who am I without my anger? Who am I without my revenge? Who am I without my negativity? Remember, it's not about getting high or feeling good. It's about getting free. Last year on America's Got Talent, there was a young woman who called herself Nightbird. Did a beautiful song that she wrote herself. But she let the panel know and the audience know that her body was riddled with cancer. Didn't say that my time is limited. Didn't act like that because she was living in the present moment. But she said a couple of things that I thought were so moving and so touching for someone who was living right on the edge, could possibly die any moment. She said, you can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. You can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. It's important that everyone knows I'm so much more than the bad things that happen to me. It's important that everyone knows I'm so much more than the bad things that happen to me. What is being called forth within you? What is being called forth within you? Could be a word, could be a phrase. Came across this metaphysical prayer when I first started studying metaphysics years and years ago. I never forgot it. It always rang true in my mind. I am whole. I am filled with light. I am perfect. I am filled with light. I am surrounded by the pure white light of Christ. Nothing but good shall come to me. Nothing but good shall go from me. I give thanks. I give thanks. I give thanks. Give you one other one-liner, and then we'll do a little meditation about the white stone. Also a symbol of freedom. Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. So whatever it is you are calling forth within you is not something somebody else has or something you even wish you had. It's something that's already there. It's just waiting in the wings to be called forth. I'm going to ask you to hold that white stone in your hand and close your eyes. Yeah, has everybody got one? If you don't, raise your hand. We'll make sure you get one. While we're waiting for that, let me share another little piece with you. Spirituality is all over the place. Spiritual learning is all over the place. Learning can happen no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, no matter what might be happening to you. I was rewatching a superhero movie the other day called Doctor Strange. And I won't go into the whole story, but it was really kind of interesting. Anyway, this guy, Doctor Strange, met this guru, met this teacher. She was called the Ancient One. And she's teaching him all of these different things, techniques and stuff. And he said, how do you get rid of your problems? How do you get rid of your demons? He said. And she said, you don't. You don't get rid of your character defects. You don't get rid of your demons. You learn how to rise above them. Wow. You don't get rid of them. You learn how to rise above them. Thank you, Dr. Strange. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a minute. Just hold your stone in your hand. Take a breath. The stone that you hold in your hand is a symbol of freedom, a release. It's a physical manifestation of a spiritual truth. And during this meditation right now, it might come to you as a word or a phrase, or it might come later. It might be blank. It might be something you take home with you. Doesn't matter how it comes about. But know that it can. You might already know what it is you want to put on there. Something you want to transform. Something you desire to be born within you. Something to come forth within you. Something you desire to change. Something you are grateful for. A new name you would like to call yourself. A new name you can call other. You can have yourself called for whatever it might happen to be. What is being called forth within you? So as you close your eyes, breathe. You can ask yourself, what is it that I am overcoming? What aspect of my true self is seeking emergence at this time? No matter what last year was like, no matter what my life was like or has been like, the white stone represents a fresh, purified beginning. Behold, I make all things new. What will come to you as you sit with this is a spiritual name, an identity, a quality to manifest, a transformation, or even a challenge that has been chosen by you, by your divine consciousness, that you would like to rename, transform. Just open to it. Connecting to your divine essence, whatever you call God. Asking for guidance on what our word or words will be for the upcoming year. The word that represents my highest truth. And as I open the Spirit, I know that I have been cleansed because I am open to the possibility that this will happen, that this is happening now. I am cleansed, I am pure. I have released. I have let go of what no longer serves me. I have a focus now, my spiritual being, like a laser that burns away all that's unnecessary and lets what is necessary, what is light, what is love, what is grace, to shine through. And whether you do it now or later, doesn't matter. You don't get into a fight with your ego or your attachments. You simply allow yourself to rise above them. Hear the calling of your soul. You can keep your eyes closed or open for the next couple of minutes as we close up this part of our service. What would it be like if we were to remember, even a few times during a day, remember the truth of who we are? What would it be like to know that we've always been an aspect, a reflection of unconditional love? How is this new life going to be manifest within me? How will I know? Father, Mother God, we open to you in truth. We ask for your blessing, your truth, your guidance, your peace. That we might truly transform that within us that desires to be transformed. That we will know in truth a new freedom and a new happiness. That we will listen to the call of our soul, the guidance to the truth of who we are, to manifest today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. And let us remember, please, that even though our feelings might change, that our truth does not. Even though I might forget, there is part of me that always remembers. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings remember who they are. And may all beings remember that we are one. We are one. We are one. We are free. We are free. Thank you, God. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful new year. Thank you.